The big man was angry. His name was Simon. He was the boss of a very big company called Nextech. The room he was in was called a boardroom. It had a very long, shiny table. The chairs were soft and black. The walls were white. A huge screen hung on one wall. On the screen were numbers. Lots and lots of numbers. But the numbers were wrong. They did not add up. This was a very big problem. Simon stood at the end of the long table. His hands were on his hips. His eyes were blue and very cold. They looked like ice. When he looked at the people in the room, they felt scared. They looked down at the table. They did not want to see his icy eyes. The people in the room were the smartest engineers. They were the people who built computer things. They were supposed to be the best. But now, they had a problem they could not fix. "Talk to me," Simon said. His voice was quiet, but it filled the whole room. It was like a soft, cold wind. "I have paid you millions of dollars. And this is what you give me? A disaster." A man named Hassan sat near Simon. Hassan was the leader of the engineers. He always wore a very clean, white shirt. He always talked about his degree from a famous school called Stanford. He thought he was the smartest man in the world. But now, Hassan was not smart. He was scared. His hands were shaking under the table. He was sweating. A little drop of sweat rolled down his nose. "Sir Simon, sir," Hassan said. His voice was shaky. "We are trying. The code, it is very complex. The error is deep. The error is going to cost us $500 million, Simon said, his voice suddenly loud. He slammed his hand on the table. Everyone jumped. "The project launches in 72 hours. If it is not fixed, we lose everything. You lose your jobs. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," everyone whispered. "Get out," Simon said. He turned his back to them. He looked at the wrong numbers on the big screen. "All of you, get out and fix this." The engineers quickly stood up. Their chairs made a scraping sound. They almost ran out of the room. They were happy to get away from Simon's icy eyes. Hassan was the last to leave. He closed the door softly behind him. Simon was alone. He let out a long, tired breath. The most important project of his life was breaking. And the best people he had could not fix it. He felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. Nighttime came. The big Nextech building became quiet. The engineers were gone. The lights in the offices were off. The only sound was the soft hum of the computers sleeping. Then, another sound came. It was the sound of wheels. Squeaky wheels. A woman walked slowly down the long, dark hallway. Her name was Rachel. She was 36 years old. She pushed a big gray cart. The cart had squeaky wheels. On the cart were bottles of cleaning spray, cloths, and a big yellow bucket. In her hand she held a broom. Rachel was a janitor. Her job was to clean the offices. She worked when everyone else was gone. She wore a simple blue uniform. It was not fancy. It was clean, but it was old. She stopped at the boardroom door. She took a key and opened it. The room was a mess. The smart engineers had left coffee cups everywhere. Papers were on the floor. The big screen was still on, showing the angry red numbers of the big problem. Rachel did not look at the numbers. Her job was to clean. She started with the trash. She picked up the paper cups. She threw them into a big black bag on her cart. She wiped the long, shiny table until it sparkled. She swept the floor with her broom. Swish, swish, swish. As she worked, she hummed a soft song. It was a song she sang to her daughter, Sophia. Thinking of Sophia made her smile. Sophia was 7 years old. She had big, bright eyes and curly hair. She was the reason Rachel worked so hard. Rachel finished the boardroom. She pushed her squeaky cart to the next office. This was Hassan's office. His office was the messiest. There were papers with complicated math all over his desk. There was an empty coffee cup sitting right on top of an important-looking drawing. Rachel carefully moved the cup. She wiped the desk. She did not throw any papers away. She was always very careful. She knew these papers were important to the people who worked here. She looked at the papers for a moment. There were lines and lines of code. Code is a special language that tells computers what to do. Rachel's eyes moved over the lines. For a second, it was like she understood it. Her brain saw a pattern. But then she shook her head. "Not my business," she whispered to herself. She finished cleaning Hassan's office and moved on. Later, Rachel's work was done. She left the big, quiet Nextech building. She walked to the bus stop. The city of Lagos was still busy at night. Cars honked. People talked. The air was warm. She got on a bus. It was full of people who were also finishing their late jobs. She found a seat by the window and looked out at the city lights. The bus took her to a quieter part of the city. The buildings here were smaller and closer together. She got off and walked down a small street to a simple apartment building. She climbed the stairs to the second floor. She opened a blue door. Inside, the apartment was small but very clean. It had a sofa, a small table, and a tiny kitchen. It was home. A kind, older woman named Grace stood up from the sofa. "She is asleep," Grace said softly. "Thank you, Grace," Rachel said. She gave Grace a little money for watching Sophia. After Grace left, Rachel tiptoed into the small bedroom. Her daughter, Sophia, was sleeping. She was wrapped in her blanket. Her favorite teddy bear was tucked under her arm. Rachel's heart felt full of love. She kissed Sophia's forehead softly. Sophia smiled in her sleep. Rachel changed into her night clothes. She was very tired. But before she went to bed, she did one thing. She got down on her knees and reached under the bed. She pulled out a small, dusty box. She opened it carefully. Inside the box were memories. There was a photograph of a younger Rachel. She was smiling a big, happy smile. She stood in front of a big building with a famous name, MIT. It was a top school for very smart people. In the photo, she had her arm around a young man with a kind face. His name was Sam. Rachel touched the photo. A tear rolled down her cheek. She remembered those days. She and Sam were both students at MIT. They were both studying artificial intelligence. That is, teaching computers to think and learn like people. Everyone said they were the brightest students. They had a golden future. They were in love. They had big dreams. Then, one rainy night, everything changed. Sam was driving home. A big truck lost control. There was an accident. Sam was gone forever. Rachel's world broke. She felt like a part of her was torn away. And then, she found out she was going to have a baby. Sam's baby. She was so sad. She could not finish her studies. She had no money. She had to leave America and come back to Nigeria. She had to care for her baby. So, she put her dreams in a box. She put the box under the bed. She found a job. A cleaning job. It was hard work, but it paid for food and rent. It paid for Sophia. She looked from the happy photo to her sleeping daughter. "I love you, Sophia," she whispered. She put the box back under the bed. She lay down next to her daughter and closed her eyes. She had to sleep. Tomorrow was another long day. The sun came up. At the Nextech building, the panic was back. Simon was in the boardroom again. Hassan and his team were there. They looked even more tired than the day before. "We worked all night," Hassan said. His white shirt was not so clean now. "We tried a new code. It did not work. The numbers are still wrong." Simon's face was like stone. "You have 48 hours left," he said. That is 2 days. Fix it. He walked out of the room. He could not bear to look at their scared faces. The day went by. Nothing changed. The problem was still there. Night came again. Rachel came back to work. She put on her blue uniform. She started her squeaky cart. She began her cleaning. She was cleaning the hallway near Hassan's office when he came out. He was working late. He looked terrible. His hair was messy. His eyes were red. He saw Rachel and his face became angry. You, he said. Be careful. You almost hit my shoes with that dirty cart. Rachel pulled her cart back. I am sorry, sir, she said softly. She looked at the floor. You people need to be more careful, Hassan muttered. He walked past her like she was nothing, like she was a piece of dust. Rachel stood still for a moment. Her heart felt hurt. She was a person. But to Hassan, she was invisible. She was just a cleaning woman. She finished her work and went home. She hugged Sophia a little tighter that night. The next day was day 3. The last day. In the Nextech boardroom, it was like a storm cloud was sitting on the roof. Simon did not shout anymore. He was quiet. That was even more scary. Tell me you have good news, Simon said. His voice was low and dangerous. Hassan opened his mouth. But no words came out. He just shook his head. Simon closed his eyes. He saw the $500 million disappearing. He saw his company failing. Get out, he whispered. Everyone get out. The engineers left quickly. They knew it was over. Simon sat alone in the big room for a long time. The wrong numbers glowed on the screen, laughing at him. That night, Rachel came to work as usual. She felt a strange feeling in the air. The building felt sad. She started her cleaning. She cleaned the big hallways. She cleaned the small kitchens. She emptied the trash cans. Finally, she came to the boardroom. She opened the door. The room was empty. The big screen was still on. The wrong numbers were still there. Red and angry. Rachel started to clean. She wiped the table. She swept the floor. But her eyes kept going back to the screen. The numbers called to her. The code was on a whiteboard too. Someone had written lots of complicated math on it. Her feet moved on their own. She walked closer to the whiteboard. She stopped in front of it. Her heart began to beat fast. Thump thump. Thump thump. She looked at the lines of code. She looked at the math. Her brain, the brain that had once been one of the best at MIT, started to work. It was like a light turned on inside her head after a long, long sleep. She saw it. It was a small error. A very tiny mistake. But it was at the very beginning of the code. It was like building a giant tower and forgetting to put a strong rock at the bottom. The whole tower was wobbling. She knew how to fix it. It was simple. So simple. Her hand twitched. She wanted to pick up a marker. She wanted to write the answer on the whiteboard. But then, a voice in her head spoke. It was a scared voice. Don't, Rachel, the voice whispered. Do not get involved. This is not your place. You are just a cleaner. She remembered Hassan's mean face. You almost hit my shoes with that dirty cart. She remembered how they all looked at her. Like she was invisible. What if she was wrong? They would laugh at her. They would fire her. Then what would she and Sophia do? They had no money. They would have no home. Fear wrapped around her heart like a cold hand. She looked at the solution in her mind. It was right there. But her feet felt stuck to the floor. She turned away from the whiteboard. She picked up her broom. Her hand was shaking. She finished sweeping the room. She pushed her squeaky cart out into the hallway. She turned off the light and closed the door. The boardroom was dark. The glowing screen with the big, $500 million problem was left alone. And the solution was walking away, down the hall, with a broom in her hand.